How are we going, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. Well, the news that has just come through, tweeted by Callum Toomey via the AFL website, is that Essendon is set to sign tall forward Tom Edwards as a pre-season supplemental selection period rookie. Edwards kicked 4 goals, of course, against the Western Bulldogs on the weekend, and looks like he has claimed the Bombers' list spot ahead of a very unlucky Kane Baldwin. So I think this is good news. I think you should reward good form, good play. Edwards, of course, kicked those 4 goals on the weekend. We all saw it, I presume, in the space of about a quarter. He kicked 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, but they came in a period of about 25 minutes. So it was very, very impressive. It was a fantastic cameo. The AFL website has got the story up. Essendon is set to sign Tom Edwards in the pre-season supplemental selection period after his 4-goal cameo on Saturday against the Western Bulldogs. AFL.com.au understands Edwards has gotten the nod for the Bombers' final spot ahead of Kane Baldwin. Edwards, a 25-year-old from Swan Districts, has been training with the Bombers in recent weeks and impressing with his forward craft. The tall forward kicked 4 goals in the weekend's practice match with the Dogs. So it's unfortunate for Kane Baldwin, but that's life, that's what happens. And I think it's probably a good decision. He looks like a pretty good prospect. So who is Tom Edwards? Well, Tom Edwards is a mature player. He's 25 years old. I think this is good because you don't have to sit there and wait for 3 or 4 years for an 18-year-old to develop. He is good to go. His body is fully developed. He is from Swan Districts. He is 191 centimetres and 80 kilograms. And just looking at his output over the last 3 years, what I find interesting is that normally once a player hits 21 or 22, they've been in the system 3 or 4 years to sort of, get towards their physical peak. Well, in 2022, he played 17 matches and kicked 20 goals. In 2023, he played 18 matches and kicked 31 goals. And in 2024, he played 19 matches and kicked 39 goals. So what's interesting about Tom Edwards, at least looking at the numbers that he has put up for Swan Districts, is that he seems to be getting better every year. Sometimes you get that with these players. They tend to be late bloomers, players that maybe weren't ready when they were 18. And maybe there's an opportunity for clubs in the AFL to recruit more of these type of players. Often players develop at different times and mature at different times. Sometimes players aren't ready at 18. Again, that's when we draft all these players. But Tom Edwards' output has improved from the ages of 23 through to 25, having his best season last year, and obviously showed a lot of potential in that practice game against the Western Bulldogs. So it begs the question, now that it is pretty much all but confirmed that he will be on the list, is what should the structure of the Essendon forward line be? Because one thing is for sure, whilst you may be pessimistic or optimistic about Essendon's fortunes this year, we certainly have a lot of options in the forward line. We now have Tom Edwards down there. We have Kyle Langford. We have a resting Draper who played a little bit of time there on the weekend and has a bit of a bag of tricks of his own. We've got Caddy down there. We've got Carco. We've got potentially someone like Harrison Jones down there. I mean, we've got a lot of options down there, and I think this can be a bit of an Achilles heel. We're probably going to have to make a decision at some point that some of those players are really going to have to come out of there. I actually personally think, my view is that Langford probably should be the one to move out of the forward line, despite the fact that he's kicked 43 and 51 goals. That might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but you've got to remember that Kyle Langford only moved into the forward line really on a permanent basis 2 years ago, when Peter Wright, prior to the 2023 season beginning, injured his shoulder. And Brad Scott threw Kyle Langford down there as a bit of a, well, let's just, see how it goes. And he ended up kicking 51 goals and had a fantastic year. So if it wasn't for Peter Wright injuring his shoulder, Kyle Langford probably wouldn't have even moved down there. Now, I think Langford is a terrific forward, but at some point you do have to make a decision. I think the structure of a team tends to work best when you've got 2 key marking players. Now, this is dependent, of course, on Edwards being able to be selected and being good enough to make the senior team. If he is good enough to make the senior team, I think perhaps we move Langford out of the forward line if Edwards is not good enough to make the senior team, and he might not be. He might not be picked. Then I would leave Langford down there, simply due to Langford's versatility and the fact that Edwards is a key forward. A third option marking player down there who is not really the target, but maybe a bit of a resting player. And then you've got the smaller players. So I actually have a feeling that, well, in my opinion, I think we should probably use Edwards and Caddy as the two taller marking players. Draper down there is a bit of a resting ruckman with his bit of a bag of tricks. And then you've got the smaller players like, Carco, Gresham, etc., who can hopefully snag a few goals. And there's always the option of playing Langford down there, but at the end of the day, something has to give. You can't play all these players down there, and of course Langford is capable of playing in the middle of the ground. He's actually capable of playing almost anywhere. So I actually think that Edwards is, being a mature player, will probably be playing senior football. I think he's shown that he's a mature player. He's actually more mature than Caddy. That's the thing. We've put all our hopes on Caddy, but Caddy's only kicked 9 goals and is only still a teenager. So I actually think Edwards and Caddy down there as the two taller players might be the way to go. I don't think Peter Wright is the way to go. I don't think he should be down there. And I think we should complement those two taller players, Edwards and Caddy, with a resting taller player, whether it be Draper or someone else down there at various times, as well as the smaller players. I think that's probably the best structure going forward. You can't have too much of a good thing, and you can have too many players down there all of the same type. So I think you really have to make a decision that someone has to come out of there. And I probably think Langford, unfortunately, probably has to be the one, simply because he's such a good player and is capable of playing elsewhere. So anyway, I think it's good news that Tom Edwards has got the last spot on the list. I hope that he can play senior football. I hope that he is capable of getting into the side in at the start of the year. I don't know if he'll be picked. It will be a big move to pick him in the first game. But look, he's a mature player. He's 25 years old, and if he continues to show what he showed against the Western Bulldogs, then maybe he is capable of playing senior football. We will see. So anyway, what do you guys think? I think this has been a positive move for Essendon, and if he develops into the type of player that we think he can be, it's really like a bonus player that we weren't expecting. It's just another player that none of us really had on our bingo card list, who would be on our list and hopefully ready to make some sort of impact, and maybe he can play 10 to 15 games, and maybe he'll surprise and even play a few more. Like I said, he seems to be the type of player, at least going by the statistics that he's put up for Swan Districts, who is getting better with age. As he matures, he seems to be increasing his output, which is a good sign for us. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a really, really good day. I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to increase my subscriber count. There's about 80% of the people watching this have not subscribed. So it would really help me out a lot if you could subscribe. And as always, have a great day.